what's going on in the regulatory field as per the current scenario. Like many people have their uh, thought process that I'm working in some kind of regulatory affairs department, or I'm not working into some kind of regulatory affairs department, but I have a will to work in a regulatory affairs department. So what's the future of regulatory is, what's going on, what things are there, where I can deep dive, where I can concentrate myself and go and so currently, the complex generic and the biosimilars is the highest and the most interested area of the regulatory affairs people is the complex generic and the biosimilars. What it says, like the FDA is increasingly focusing on the complex generic products, because you know that simple tablet, simple injectable products are now like n numbers, but they are still not meeting up the drug treatment requirement what the patient currently is asking. Like we have a various different kind of the medical conditions. So to treat that kind of medical conditions, we need a very different kind of molecule development. We need a very different kind of the approaches, like the person who has been suffering from the cancer, or the person who has a very serious ill disease. So to treat with some kind of medicine, it has very serious high level of the adverse reaction, the side effect as well. So we know that this medicine is going to treat that person, but person dies because of the side effect as well. So what's the main thing is, what the concept is going on in the market is like how much we can reduce the side effect of the medicine, so which can be achieved by the complex generics and the biosimilars products. So that's why they are moving towards this kind of understandings. Okay, the next thing is the data integrity and the quality assurance. There is a division in regulatory affairs which do the quality check. We can say that regulatory compliance team. In various companies, it has a different name, but generally it has a name of regulatory compliance team, which looks towards the overall the procedural part of regulatory submission. They look towards the quality of the guidances. They look towards the how they are providing the information in the submissions, whether it is as per the quality standards or not. So that kind of departments are there. Like we can see the regulatory agencies are placing greater scrutiny on data integrity. Okay, so that's the reason that department has been emerging in this industry as well. Okay, the next is the digital submission and the eCTD operations, also known as regulatory operation teams, the RO team. Okay, this is also very highly demandable, because as you know that we are dealing with n numbers of electronic documents. The ANDA submission complies of thousands of documents, which has to be tracked, which has to be well documented, which has to be properly organized, so that you know you will be there in market for longer period of time. You're not just filing an ANDA to submit it for just 1 year, and you will do a market for 1 year and you will close your shut down your product. No, you know that you are doing something for a longer period of time. So for the longer period of time, there will be n number of documentation datas will be generated based on that particular ANDA. Like if your product get approved in market, then you do the submission, and you do what we say that you place your market, you do the marketing of your product in US. Okay, but in coming time period, you just decide like I need to change my vendor for the API. I think the API, based on the the management decision, the cost of the API is very high to meet up the profit and the benefit based on the generic product selling. You decide of buying an API from some different vendor. So the changing the source of the API, it comes under a filing categories. So that has to be documented. You need to do the annual report of your products. Like in the manufacturing unit, you are like changing or the equipments, you are updating the process, you are changing the parameters, you are changing something. So every change, each and every change has to be documented and submitted through the eCTD or the digital submission process part. So this particular ECTD compliance team or regulatory operation teams plays a very critical and crucial role. If you are aware, or you might be aware of some of those things, like there are departments in general companies which have a regulatory operation teams of more than 20 to 30 people. Even they are higher than the regulatory people. There are cases because the handling of this document is very crucial for this regulatory life cycle. So this department is also evolving very highly as of now. The next is the quality by design, the QBD principle, which emphasize designing quality into the product from the outset, are increasingly being applied to the generic drug development program. So this is more into the F&D team. Uh, in India, it is yet to be established based on QBD approach for the regulatory affairs department. This has been still handled by the F&D team, but there are chances because the acceptance of FDA and the more and more questions has been coming based on QBD from the FDA's query. So there are certain industries who are coming up with a specified department in regulatory body who handle this QBD approach for the product development. The next is the post-approval changes, that is PAC. Also, we can say that the annual reportable team, the post-approval team for the regulatory affairs. One is the pre-approval team who do the ANDA filing, who do the initial submission of the ANDA. Once that submission is been approved by the FDA, the products falls into the post-approval criteria. Like now the product has been approved. So the post-approval teams comes into the play where they keep on monitoring the plant information. They keep on checking the BMRs, the BPRs, the specification, the test specification, analytical method validations, or anything which gets updated time to time, that has to be reported. And this post-approval team take in charge of this, and they do all those post-approval submission to FDA. Like they do the submission like CB0, which is you can do it and you don't need to wait for any kind of approval from FDA, but you need to notify the FDA. The second is the CB30 submission, where you need to submit this to FDA. You need to wait for 30 days. You need to wait for the approval letter from FDA that this change is accepted and you can implement accordingly. The next is the pass submission, that without any approval, you cannot implement that change. So you need to wait for the specified approval from the FDA. So that kind of changes, things has been done. Also, the post-approval team do the annual reportable changes. Any information which is required to be reported to FDA, but not on an immediate basis, but it can be reported annually. Annually means the anniversary date of the ANDA, means when this ANDA got approved before 60 days, like on 1st January 2023, your ANDA got approved. So like before 60 days, in October 31st, it will be the time duration you have 60 days, that you can, between this 60 days time period, you can submit an annual report for your products. Like all the changes notified through annual reportable changes. The real world example evidence also, that is also the part of the QBT approach process. Various kind of data has been generated. This is still yet to be evolved in regulatory cycles. The next is a drug device combination. As we said about the complex drug device combination, like the complex molecule generation in generic drugs. So a specified regulatory team is being developed in various industries, where they only focus on the complex molecule developments like drug device combination. Drug device combination, I can give you an example, like an auto injector. If any of the family members of the people who are attending the class might be taking a kind of an insulin, so the use of the insulin itself is a drug device combination product. So you have a device to inject the drug in the body. It is known as auto injector. So such kind of complex development is now trending in market, which have a high value return for the business.